Hey y'all. So I was asked by a friend if I would do a couple of videos on how I make my homemade soaps. So I agreed to do so, but I felt like I should start at more an entry-level soap before I get into more difficult soaps. That way I can point back to this video if people have questions in later videos. So let's get started with the basic tools that I have to make soap. So here we have my scale and my heat thermometers here. You just point it at stuff and pull the trigger. I have some gloves. This is the lard I'm going to be using to make this particular soap. I have a shot glass for my essential oils. I have some essential oil here, as well as some fragrance oil. Now if you're a purist, you're doing all natural soaps, you would want to stick with the essential oil and not the fragrance oil. Some people want to avoid fragrances because of, allergies and things, but I like this one. It is a oatmeal milk and honey. I have a spray bottle with alcohol in it. I've got a couple of measuring cups. This one's glass, this one's plastic. I have some little spoons. I have different kinds of molds. I've got these little ones. I have all of these. You can see these are just the little rectangles. I have the big block here. I have some cutting tools. Ignore my tea. I've got distilled water, a cookie sheet, a big bowl. I have my immersion blender here. And of course we have lye. So that's all I'm going to be using today to make this very simple lard soap. I have to do the disclaimer of be sure and wear goggles and a face, you don't want to breathe in lye, so you'll want to wear a mask and some gloves so that you don't get hurt, because lye is very caustic. Alright, so right now I have my lard, which again is this lard here, in the kitchen on the stove on very, very low so that it can start melting. And in the meantime, I'm going to start measuring all of my ingredients and have them sitting separately, not mixed, while we wait for the oil. So let's get all of our ingredients measured out. I'm going to put my hair up so it doesn't get down in any of the soap making process, because that's the last thing I need, or you don't want to make someone a bar of soap and have it have one of your long hairs already in it. Okay, so first I'm going to measure my fragrance oil, the oatmeal milk and honey, and I am going to be doing 30 grams. So let's turn on the scale. We're going to measure and, didn't take a little. So a little over an ounce. There we are. Just a little bit over an ounce is 30 grams. That wasn't going to hurt my hands, but let's go ahead and get the gloves on. That aside. Now I'm going to get my lye. And this is 133 grams. Oops, I forgot to turn it on. way over. All right, there's 133 grams of lye. So I'm going to set this aside. You want to make sure you're not including the weight of your jar with your ingredients. We just want the ingredients weighed. Then we need 266 grams of the distilled water. And there we go. So now that I'm done measuring my ingredients, I'm going to go check on my oil, my lard real quick, and hopefully it is done melting. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to mix together is my lye and my water. You do not mix the water into the lye because you'll get a volcanic effect, similar to when you mix baking soda and vinegar, but on a much larger scale that can hurt you. So I'm going to stand up and I'm going to slowly start adding the lye to the water. Mixing it up. It's going to be cloudy. Let's see what the temperature is right now. Current temperature is 198 degrees. So you're going to set this aside after you've got it all dissolved and there's nothing left undissolved in there. Going to set this aside and let it cool down to 120 degrees. Now I'm going to take this bowl, go into the kitchen, and grab my lard that has now been melted. Here's my melted lard, and it is 138 degrees. So we need both the melted lard and the lye to be about 120 degrees. So I'm gonna let these cool off, and in the meantime I'm going to get my molds ready. So that's where your alcohol comes into play. And by the way, if I forgot to mention, there is 2.2 pounds of lard here. In grams, that would be 1,000 grams. I had to think about it for a minute. So you take your molds. Let's see. I'm going to use this one. You take your molds and you spray it with the alcohol. Can you see me? And the reason you do that is because of the soda ash that can form on your soap, and the alcohol keeps that from happening. Now, I do have my oven preheated to 170 because I will also be oven processing these, even though this is considered a cold process. All right, so those are ready. Let's check the temperature of our oil and lye again. All right, 132. And the lye is 150. So I'm going to take a break for a minute and let these go ahead and finish cooling down, and then I'll be back. All right, now that they're both at about 120, we're going to start mixing them by pouring the lye into the fat and using your stick blender to do bursts like this. Then you're going to continue to blend it with your stick blender until it reaches a pudding consistency, which is called trace. You can also do this with a spoon if you don't have a stick blender. You don't have to have all these gadgets. My grandmother didn't, my great-grandmother didn't. We've pretty much almost reached trace, so I'm gonna give it just a few more bursts. Now we're going to add in our essential oil and blend that really good. And now it is time to pour it into the molds. Get my tray back over here. And start pouring it into the molds. This one's crooked. It's the only problem with these little these little flimsy molds is they have to have something to support them. Y'all can't see what I'm doing, so let me pull that out a little bit more. My hands shake, so I am making a mess, but I'll clean it up later. Alright, so there we go. We got 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15 bars of soap out of that mix. So, like I said earlier, I was preheating my oven to 170. Now I'm going to take my tray in, put it in the oven, and immediately turn the oven off. So that's how you oven process. And then we're going to leave it overnight. The other option is to wrap this in a towel. But I've found that that's a lot harder to do when you're making these little soaps like this. So I prefer to do the oven process. So let's go put these in the oven. All right, turn the oven off. Set these in the oven. And we'll leave them until tomorrow. So I will see you guys tomorrow. I will strongly suggest that you put a note on there telling whoever else you live with to not turn the oven on, or you'll end up with ruined soap. Just a little experience talking here. Okay, well, it's been 24 hours. I've unmolded most of my soaps already. Here's one that I did nothing but take out of the mold. And to unmold them, all you do is push them up out of the silicone mold just like that. Very simple. And if there's edges on there that you don't like, you can just take your little peeler here and peel off those sharper edges to kind of clean it up a little bit. However you want to do it. You need to have one of these in your little arsenal, and I can do the same on the front if I want. You can buy little stamps to stamp things on here. These are the perfect size bars. The other ones I made with the mold look like this. The ones that said natural look like this. And then we had this cute little flower that looks like this. Some people prefer the big block molds, but I find those to be too chunky for our use. I like the smaller ones. And these little bars fit perfectly in these little boxes like this. You can see just the right size, which make a perfect birthday gift, Christmas gift, whatever. And you can really get deep into the rabbit hole of soap making. Add all kinds of ingredients from different scents. different colors using various clays and spices. Turmeric is a good one for color. One of my favorites is to add pumpkin to it, or coffee grounds, oatmeal. Those are my favorites. I like a lot of the more natural ingredients. But yeah, there's a whole world out there of soap making. This is just a beginning stage that I wanted to share with some of you guys. You can be as utilitarian as you want with it, or you can be very artistic with it. Depending on my mood, I swing from one end to the others. But this is a very basic soap that is still good for giving to friends and family. It's very pretty, and people always ask, well, I'm not sure about having lye in my soap. And let me be clear that there's lye. Lye is used to make all soap that you buy at the supermarket as well. It's just you wait the 6 weeks for it to cure, for the whole saponification process to take place. Because if you were to use this now, it would be very, very harsh on your skin. So you need to wait that curing period. But anyway, yes, lye is used to make all the different soaps at the store. There are exceptions to other kinds of anyway, we'll get into that in another video. I don't want to go deep into that rabbit hole on what I was hoping would be a very simple how to make homemade soap video. So this is, I will be sure and put the ingredients in the description. I hope you guys, if nothing else, realize from this video that it's very easy to make soap. This is a relatively cheap recipe. There are some very expensive recipes depending on what all you add into it. Essential oils can get very expensive per ounce. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you give soap making a try. It is relatively easy and safe if you do it correctly. We'll see you on the next video.